Yo, Nemi gang, today we are talking anti-pressure, basically defensive options or defensive utilities for different situations in Tekken 8. Now this comes at a request from the UMF who asked me this question in my last video. Of course, I did ask you guys to give me some video ideas. He asked this question, I thought I would make a video out of this. And shout out the UMF, by the way. This guy has donated about $400 over the last four months, bro. Like, that is crazy. I don't even know what to say. I'm not good at these things. That's a lot of money, but I am so grateful, my dude. If you're watching this, it just makes me motivated to make more videos. Like, I'm grateful, so this is for you. But of course, not just for the UMF, this is for everyone else interested in this knowledge. Of course, I do hope it helps you in a sense. So without further ado, let's jump right in. Okay, so let's start this off with the one jab. Now keep in mind, I have made a video on the one jab. I went a little bit more in depth on this, so if you haven't seen it, please check it out. It's very important. But in this context, this is the one jab in relation to dealing with pressure in this game, anti-pressure with the one jab. So as I talked about in my last video, the one jab is an amazing tool to interrupt your opponent's pressure. First of all, it's very safe because it's just a jab and no one is going to whiff punish a jab even if you just throw it out in the open. So it's a very good move to just throw out in neutral. But again, in relation to interrupting your opponent's pressure, one thing people don't understand in this game is just because something is plus on block, it doesn't mean you always have to respect it. Sometimes it's good to challenge your opponent even if you're holding plus frames. Let's say like after a Brian back 1. Obviously there are frame traps like back 1 into down forward 2. If you press buttons you get hit, right? But just because this is like the written rule, it doesn't mean you always have to interrupt it. And instead of interrupting this by doing like an armored move like a power crash or like a hop kick or a hit burst, a dick jab, a jab is the safest option you can go for because of how fast it comes out, coming out at 10 frames, the fastest move you can throw out in the game outside of character specific stuff like Yoshi Flash, of course. And because of this, it's very good for interrupting your opponent's pressure. Sometimes opponent is just pressuring you for free, right? Dashing in your face without even using frames. So the one jab is a good check to just stop it, right? Stop it, bro. Like, stop it. Stop pressing buttons in my face for no particular reason, right? It's amazing in that sense. Worst case scenario, they throw something that crushes your jab, like a low, like a Dragon of Down 2, for example, that goes under jabs. But it's way better than throwing out a hop kick and getting punished, or like throwing out a power crash -14, you get launched, right? The one jab is an amazing tool for pressure. It's also good against characters that don't really have good high crash, characters like Hwoarang and Brian. A lot of people have asked me to do Hwoarang, an anti-Hwoarang guide, which I'll eventually do in the future. But like, the one jab is also amazing against Hwoarang, like Flamingo 3 forward, 3 forward, 3 forward, or Hwoarang does 1 2, like his 1 2 3 or 1 2 3 hold forward to go from jabs into his flamingo stance. The one jab is a good check to interrupt that pressure. The one jab, guys, is amazing. So again, in context to interrupting pressure or dealing with offense in this game, the one jab is the safest move you can throw out to try and stop your opponent's pressure. And again, just because something is plus on block doesn't mean you always have to respect it. Sometimes it's good to challenge your opponent, because the more you keep blocking, the more the opponent will keep spamming plus frames, like Dragon of running 2 into running 2 into running 2 into running 2, right? You're taking chip damage, and by the time you know it, your back is against the wall. So sometimes it's good to challenge with a one jab, interrupt their offense and try to get your offense going. Next up is the down jab, more commonly known as the dick jab. And the dick jab is a very strong move in Tekken 8. I haven't seen this move used this much in a Tekken game, which makes sense, of course, because Tekken 8 offense is insanely toxic. So the down jab is a special law, described as a special law because you can actually block it standing, right? You have to crouch obviously in this game to block laws, but the down jab is an exception because it's a special law, so you can block it even by standing. It's safe at -5 on block and +7 on hit. Now the down jab works almost exactly the same as the one jab in relation to interrupting opponent's pressure. The only difference is, whilst the one jab is a low crush, once the one jab can be crushed by lows, the dick jab can be crushed by hop kicks. You know, hop kicks or moves that go over stuff like orbitals as well, right? But the good thing about the down jab is it crushes highs, right? Because it's basically a low, like a low that goes under highs. That's basically how a dig jab is. It crushes highs, and it also comes out at 10 frames as fast as a jab. So it's just as effective, if not better, than the one jab at interrupting pressure. Like, it's so strong, guys. It is so strong. But its biggest weakness, like I said, firstly being orbitals and hop kicks, as well as side steps. Like, if an opponent is looking for the dig jab, they have to sidestep, hop kick, or buffer low parry. Of course, being a low, meaning it's acceptable to low parries. That's the only way to punish it on block. Of course, you have to low parry it. It's just good, guys. It's just really, really good. Basically, in a situation where you're being bombarded with offense, right? Like, you have a brain fart, you don't know what to do, like, just to try to throw out a dig jab. It is slightly risky, not as risky, honestly. Like, your opponent has to look for this, and it's something that's very difficult to always expect from your opponent. Like, the only time your opponent will start punishing you for dig jabs a lot is if you spam it too much. Otherwise, your opponent has to expect it. But if your opponent is good at sidestepping, then they're going to beat your dig jab a lot. So there's some common situations where you'd use this. Most of the time at high level, you see it used after a hit burst. Of course, hit burst is kind of like a coin flip situation, +1 on block, +2 on hit. So you can still utilize the dig jab. But if your opponent sidesteps, of course, you can get punished. Even at the wall, maybe like the Jin pressure, you know, his Zen 3+4 into electric. The dig jab is a good option to interrupt him. Just the prime examples, guys. Basically like a one jab, but you know, the dig jab version, the low version of the one jab. Interrupting pressure, basically you feel panicked, you feel pressured too much, throw out a dig jab. And the good thing is if you land this on hit, it's +7. So you have really good follow-ups, especially if your character has a very good outstanding option. For example, like Lars here. Lars has full crouch down forward 2, which comes out at 16 frames. So if I do a dig jab, which is +7 on hit, and then follow up with full crouch down for 2, it becomes a frame trap in my favor. So if they press buttons, they get counter hit. So it's amazing for turning offense into defense. Sorry, for turning defense into offense as well. Raven has outstanding 2. So down dig jab into outstanding 2 is amazing. Basically, any character with a good outstanding counter hit 2, it's a very good option to use after down 1. So yeah, very, very strong, guys. A very, very good defensive option. You're panicking too much, throw out the down jab. You know, here and there, don't spam it too much, don't be too obvious, or else your opponent who starts sidestepping, you get the read on you and you are going to die for it. So be very careful. Next up, of course, is the power crush. I won't even take that long on this one. We all know how strong power crush is in Tekken 8. The main difference between Tekken 7 power crush and Tekken 8 power crush is that Tekken 8 power crushes can be made safe if they absorb hits. So this is why you see these tools spammed like crazy in this game. Yeah, power crush is strong. However, do keep in mind it does come with its weaknesses. Power crush will lose to lows and will lose to throws as well. Most power crushes that are highs can be easily baited by like jabbing and then ducking afterwards. So yeah, they do come with their weaknesses, but still I think overall they are very strong, especially considering how strong the offense is in this game. Like, you can easily get overwhelmed with offense. So power crush does save you quite a number of times in this game, especially if your character has a very good power crush. So for reference, I will use Steve here. Steve has stun gun, the classic stun gun from Tekken 5. It is not the best power crush in the game, but it is decent. It's slow, but it's rewarding because you get a guaranteed Sonic Fang. So yeah, throwing a power crush here and there is good. So what makes a power crush good as well is being unpredictable in its use. Remember, we do have other defensive options. We have jabs, we have dig jabs, you can sidestep. So throwing in a power crush there as well makes it so that your defense is very unpredictable. You have to mix and match and just not spam power crush as much as I see most low level players use. It's not a defensive option. You can easily just sidestep most of the times in a situation where you throw out a power crush and your opponent knew this and they threw out a low, or they grabbed you and you got hit. when instead you could have sidestep and gotten a punish out of it. So being smart on your power crush usage is the biggest tip I can give for this section. Although this one is a bit quite obvious, yeah, power crush is strong, guys. Really, if your opponent has a good power crush like Nina, you know, Raven, power crush hit engagers like Arjushina, Eddie, Feng, yeah, those are very strong. They are very strong, probably due for some nerfs as well. But yeah, it is a very good defensive option and good for interrupting pressure. Just be smart on its usage. Okay, next up, let's talk about off the ground options, get up kicks to be specific, and yes, they do count as anti-pressure options or anti-okizeme options in this case. So get up kicks were made safe in Tekken 8, mainly face up 3 and face up 4, being +7 on hit and like what, +9 on block. So it incentivizes the opponent to be very careful when facing a grounded opponent because they lose their momentum, and these get up kicks are very good for stopping momentum. So the thing is, these all do come with their own risks, because if an opponent is patient, they will bait that get up kick and you will find yourself getting punished. So the EUMF, if you're watching this, you said sometimes you find yourself getting punished for doing get up kicks and you lose a bunch of health. Oh yeah, like that's the game in Tekken 8 right now. It's basically bait a get up kick to get as max damage as possible, because they are so strong the opponent has to back off, right? They can't really keep the pressure going. Now for those of you that don't understand what okizeme is basically like off the ground options. You knock down the opponent, then what you do afterwards is described as okizeme. Some setups like, okay, you do a combo, then knock them down in a sense that you have some really strong options against them when they are on the ground. So for example, like King, when King does a combo, he knocks you down, he's got a ground option, he can grab the opponent on the ground, he has forward 2-1 back setups and stuff like that. That's basically what okizeme is. So it is described as offense, and to stop that offense, get up kicks are going to be your options. So you can have get up 3, you can have get up 4, which are safe options. Then you can have spring kick and the toe kick, which are the risky options. Launch, punishable, hella unsafe, but they are very good at stopping offense. So again, this comes down to reads. Is your opponent being too aggressive and dashing in whenever you're on the ground? Then get up 3 and get up 4 are going to be good for stopping that momentum. But if they knock you down and you see them backing away a lot, that means they are trying to bait out your get up kicks and going for a strong wave punisher. And in this game, bro, one combo is about 80 damage, so you have to be very careful. I can't tell you when is the right time to use these get up kicks, because it's all about reads. How patient is your opponent after they knock you down? How impatient are they after they knock you down? These are the factors that determine your usage of get up kicks. Away from the safe options, the toe kick and the spring kick are good in certain situations as well. So the toe kick, for example, is good at stopping like the Kazuya hell sweep mix up. So like hell sweep into wave hell sweep. So if you do hell sweep into hell sweep, it does counter get up 3 and get up 4. But if you do hell sweep and the opponent goes for a toe kick, that will counter the mix up. It's good in that situation. It's also good at the wall for like setups, like okizeme setups. Off the top of my mind, I can think of Leroy's ground pound setup. So Leroy does his combo, his wall combo into the ground pound. The toe kick is good as it recovers very fast. It's good if they try to like press buttons afterwards. Basically a punish. So they have to block or they have to respect you and expect that toe kick. So again, if they do this, they set this up and they realize, okay, you do have this option, they won't commit to their setups now. This will be in your advantage because you do have the counter to that okizeme option. I really hope I'm making sense. I'm trying by all means to explain this as basic as possible. But basically, it's about reads, guys. You do have good options off the ground, but the reads are what determine what you should use. Is it get up 3? Is it get up 4? Yes, there are safe options, they are good, but if baited, you're losing half your health. So make the read, make the right decision, and use the right get up kick for that particular situation. And finally, make use of your character's specific defensive tools. Most of what I've talked about is generic throughout the cast. It applies to every single character, but there are some characters that have really good defensive tools as well that you should also implement when it comes to anti-pressure. Thing, for example, has back 1, 10 frames fast, counter hit, knockback, guaranteed shoulder. He has upward 2, which is like a built-in sidestep counter. He has a backswing blow, back forward 1. He also has his back kempo. Like this, as well as everything we talked about earlier, just adds more layers of his defensive options. So you want to always utilize this as much as you can. Steve as well has his back sway. He's over here. He has back 1 as well, which is good for counter, and he has his jabs. Implement those options as well as what we've talked about. Another example is Leroy. Leroy is a very heavily defensive character. He has his 10 frame counter hit confirmable string. He has his back 1. He has his back 1 plus 2, 12 frame mid counter hit launcher. Only character in the game that has this. He has good parry options. Of course, parry not as strong as Tekken 7, but he does have the added benefit of having parries. So take advantage of these defensive tools in addition to what we've talked about. Just a few examples. There are many other characters such as June and Asuka that have a bunch of strong parries and power crushes you can use to implement as well. So in conclusion, guys, keep in mind that I can't tell you what to do in every situation defensively. This all comes down to the reads that you make on the opponent. But what I can tell you is keep doing something if it's working. Like, if it's not broken, why fix it? Keep doing it until they figure out how to stop it. If dick jabs are working for you, keep doing dick jabs. If power crush is working for you, keep doing power crushes. So sidestep on point, and then not using homing moves or tracking moves, keep sidestepping. So implement all these defensive tools like in one bubble. Don't just limit yourself to spamming power crush. Limit yourself to spamming one jab. Limit yourself to spamming sidestep. Use them all collectively and be as unpredictable as possible, which applies to the ground options as well. Like, this is the best advice I can give you. Now, don't beat yourself up too much if you're finding yourself struggling with defense in Tekken 8. Defense in Tekken 8 it's hard. It's hard. I can say Tekken 8 is maybe 60 offense and 40 defense, maybe even 70% offense and 30 defense. To be honest with you, this game is mad oppressive. So I can actually advise you to actually be more offensive than defensive in this game. I had 4 characters that made God of Destruction, and of these 4, I had 2 characters at about 70% defense on my stats. I think that was Raven and Leroy. So yeah, offense is king in this game. Try to be as aggressive as possible, but defensive does matter as well. Of course, it's an aspect of the game to some degree, so implement these defensive options as well. So again, shout out to EUMF, the EU motherfucker. If you do have any other struggles in Tekken 8, like what can I help you with, I've talked about a lot. Like throughout this past week, I've been dropping so many tips videos. So if there's something in particular I haven't spoken about, please let me know in the comment section and I might make a video on this. Like I said last time, there isn't really all that much going on in terms of Tekken 8 content. We're waiting for season 2, most likely next month. So yeah, let me know what you guys want to see, and yeah, if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to that like button and subscribe if you're new. Check out my content. I cover a wide variety of stuff, guides, gameplay, all the Tekken jazz. Like, I'm a Tekken nerd, so yeah, feel free to sub if you like what you see. So yeah, may the frame data be ever in your favor. GG, enemy gang.